beyond what you forget. I forget what I have to forget. So please share with us how you did that.
First of all, let me just thank the Family Place and thank you, Ms. Rogers, for being the moderator today. I found it an extreme honor to be sitting here with you today. Thank all of you, and thank you to my husband and sister. It's not my friends. I just got to get all my thank yous out. Okay. But excuse me today if I seem a little blank. It's because I have been going through a lot since December 20th of 2025 when I began to care for my dad. It's like a full circle. But forgiveness for me started a long time ago. I think what brought me to this space is that I never hardened my heart. I never, whether knowingly or unknowingly, hardened my heart for my dad. Because I feel like every girl loves their daddy. And sometimes we are in spaces that are, I would say, that are not normal, but it becomes normal. Because that's not a normal situation, but when it's your daddy, you don't know different. It just becomes the space that you're in. So for me, my forgiveness journey was just never hardening my heart. And so when I was in that space, I remember standing in Sister Davis's kitchen, and I would say to her, I just want my daddy to be saved. That's what I said. I want him to be saved. I want him to leave this earth and go to heaven. And so for me, it all started with knowing that I couldn't, not knowing, just naturally who God puts in us, is that I couldn't have a hardened heart, and that I could not hate him, even though he did what he did, and I do not negate that, and I do not take that away, and I don't by no means validate the wrong that he did. But what I am saying is that my heart never hardened, because forgiveness starts with you and not the other person. And through this situation that I've been going through, what the Lord revealed to me is that for me, a lot of us have unforgiveness in our heart, and it's easy for us to blame other people for things that they have done to us that cause us to be bitter, that cause us to be hurt and harmed. But what God revealed to me in this last 6 weeks was that the person who wronged you, if they ask God to forgive them, they're going to go ahead and ascend, because they was humble enough to ask God to forgive them. But we have to be in a space where our unforgiveness in our heart, because that little fox will keep us out of heaven. So I had to rest assured and know me that is my heart clear? Am I forgiven? Especially at this age and space where I am now. So forgiveness started was a journey. It was never about the perpetrator. It was about me being free to be sitting here today.
So you decided to do the work, and you started seeing a therapist, Ms. Reggio. Reggio, yes. So a lot of this deals with her being in therapy, with this particular therapist. And, she wasn't just going to be going at first. She didn't know why she was there. So what was the turning point that made you decide to do the work in therapy?
Therapy begins introspective. Is that you have to see yourself from within and out. You have to decide that you want to be healed. You have to decide that that's what you want to do. It's not going to come natural for some, but it's a conscientious decision that we have to decide that we want to be healed and whole. And so in that, I think that with therapy, we go resisting it when we first start that journey of healing, because we don't want anyone to hear us out, or we don't want anyone to know our business, if we would say. But then I believe that in spaces when we begin to deal with us, we begin to submit to the process, and submitting to the processes that we see ourselves introspectively in. Like, I am hurt, and I believe that you have to first identify your pain, identify your hurt. I'm hurt, and then from identifying, we move into the space of admitting that it happened. This happened, and it was not normal in an abnormal situation. That was not normal. Nothing about that was right. And then getting to the place where we admit that it happened.
In one of your therapy sessions, she asked you if you had ever told someone, and in the book I read that it was Wanda Davis, somebody you babysat for. How did you have the confidence to go and get this off your chest with Miss Davis?
It's interesting because I didn't use real names, but I guess to know me is to know my circle of influence, right? But I'm glad, it is a circle of influence, and I believe that the people around you have to have people who are praying for you for real, earnestly. And so I can't say that there has always been a kindred spirit from the day that I met Sister Davis, and it was very simple. I had already been dealing with that because God deals with us first. And then I was just basically, she was getting dressed and I was babysitting, and I just began to just tell her. I think she's always created a space of comfort. She's always been a very nurturing person. So in that nurturing space, it was comfortable to say, and I just believe it was my time to speak out. I think we have to be sensitive to that. Timing is everything. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, when I spoke out when I was 21, oh, life was great. And no, I was getting ready to be a single mom here, and the turbulence began. That's when the turbulence actually began in my life, when I spoke out. So I look at my life in decades, and so the product that you see today is not the product that it began in 2021. but I do know that she created a space that was comfortable for me to speak out.
Thank you. This is a fictionalized account of her life, but I'm sorry I'm calling you out and saying I'll get back to discover her in the book. Now, you say adversity doesn't build character, it reveals character. And I feel like this is the summary of Romans 5:3-4. But we also glory in our suffering, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope, and hope does not put us to shame. So when you talk about how your adversity built your character, when did you discover that you were making a change? What part of your life experience discovered you were making a change?
I always say when I became saved for real. So if you heard me speak, I say I became saved for real, like I'm for real saved now. I used to be saved, but I would just do what I want to do and go where I want to go and sleep with who I want to sleep with and be where I want to be. Now when I became saved for real is when I realized that God is forever a staple in my life, and that is with the piece of understanding who I am in Him and who He is to me and how intimacy is with Him. And that's when I began to just begin that journey of understanding that perseverance is, and it's hard for me to hate people. I'm at a place in my life, and probably even then in my life, I don't even know, but it was hard for me to just hate people. I just moved past situations. And I think that is what made my life too easy to maneuver, even in the hard times. Because there were a lot of hard times. But even in the hard times.
So do you have any triggers, like when you see something on television about a child that's been sexually abused, or you may get a pardon mail that there's a pedophile living in your neighborhood? That's in the book. And so do anything trigger you now? How do you cope with it? Because it's not like you went and got a vaccine and you're over it. Yeah. So how do you cope with, what strategies do you use, and talk about things that may trigger you?
It's interesting. I think that.
Hello.
Oh, it's linked out. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Am I going?
Yeah, we can hear you, honey.
Well, we'll let them work on that mic.
Yeah.
But triggers for me is that in this, I believe that God builds us for what He called us to.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe when I submitted and surrendered to the call, He gave me the strength that I needed, that the triggers wouldn't affect. And I'm not saying that I hear stories, I've heard many stories. I've heard